Welcome back, everyone, to the second session. Now that your stomachs are full and hearts are happy, it's time to feed your minds with something fresh and exciting ideas. Let's turn up the energy for our second session panel members. Please join me in giving them a warm and enthusiastic welcome. Thank you. It's an honor to welcome Mr. Abhishek Prakash, Chief Executive Officer, as the chairperson for the second session. And to say a few lines about him is a big lie, but nevertheless, I'll try. Mr. Abhishek Prakash is a dynamic and visionary leader with over 22 years of cross-sectoral experience spanning aviation, logistics, capital goods, and material handling. He is renowned for steering large-scale business transformation, strategic growth initiatives, and technology-led automation solutions that have redefined operational excellence. It's our privilege to welcome you on board, sir. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much for my introductions. I think this is the toughest session after the lunch. People have to keep themselves awake. And we have a very good panelist with different sectors and different industry with a lot of rich experience. So I would like to call our panelist, Mr. 𝐂𝐝𝐢𝐭 Chatterjee. He is a Chief Supply Chain Officer, Cummins India. Mr. 𝐈𝐧𝐝𝐢𝐚, he is a Managing Director, FM Logistics. Mr. Sandeep Sondhi, he is the Head Supply Chain, Ashok Leyland. Mr. Pawan Muralidhar is the Vice President, Product Design, Analytics and Marketing, Freight Tiger. Mr. Prashant Nayak, he is a General Manager in Western Region Businesses, TCI Supply Chain Solutions. And Mr. Akshay Kurian, he is a Senior Sustainable Consultant Lead of Trini. We have one more panelist, Mr. Vijay Sethi. He is a Senior Vice President, Global Distribution and Supply Chain, Alchem Lab. He will be joining in next 5 minutes, I believe. So I'll just join them in the dais, and then we will introduce with each individual. Thank you, everyone. So I would like to ask each panelist to start with their introductions so that we all know that from their background and industry. So we'll have some more constructive, productive talk over here. Over to you, Mr. Sondhi.
Hello, I am Sandeep Sondhi, working as a head supply chain at Ashok Leyland. We are into manufacturing of commercial vehicles, and now since there is a lot of debate going on how to make CO2 zero, CO2 emission zero. So Ashok Leyland also working in a large scale on that. We have launched a new company around 5 years back with the name of Switch Mobility, where we are making 100% EV vehicles alone. And in last 5 years, over more than 1,000 vehicles we have already produced. Not only EV vehicles, we are also working on hydrogen vehicles as well as for LNG vehicles to see how we can minimize the CO2 emission from the industry, from the environment. So let us discuss on this going forward. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I don't see this is the toughest session because if it's interesting, I think you will have interest. Otherwise, it's first or last, I think we'll not have interest for sure. My name is 𝐈𝐧𝐝𝐢𝐚. I'm Managing Director for FM Logistics, which is a French company. We acquired company in India 2016 and growing 35% CAGR, which is good news. I have experience about 30 plus years. Half of that as a customer as head of supply chain and half is a service provider, so I understand both sides well. I claim at least I know a little bit because time is changing very fast. So what was right yesterday may not be right today. So, and that is a quite interesting area which we are in. We have a lot of opportunities to challenge the status quo. And FM Logistics is taking a lead in this. We are the warehousing, transportation, supply chain company. But we take a pride. It's not about just providing the four walls of the warehouses and just few tires of and moving your cargo. We provide a technology-based value proposition, and it starts with the understanding your real challenges and then building the solution. And important is not only solution, but executing solution by achieving your business objectives. So quite interesting role we are in and exploring our business every year, every month, every week. And this topic today is close to everybody's heart and quite challenging too. Everybody has a very different perspective about that. So like to share some of the thoughts as well, try to understand from all experts on the dais as well as on the room to how you are managing this challenge in their organizations.
Hey, good afternoon all. And as rightly said, Ajit, I don't think this should be a very challenging situation because this is one of the most evolving and interesting fields. So I'm 𝐂𝐝𝐢𝐭 Chatterjee. I'm Chief Supply Chain Officer for Cummins in India. I also lead Global Operational Excellence and Digital Transformation for Cummins Inc. So just a bit of background about Cummins. Globally, we are a $34 billion organization. In India, we are about $3.6 billion. Okay, we are here in the country for last 60 plus years. The first factory was set up in 1962 in Kothur in Pune. So we are more Indian than a multinational, very much part of this economy. Globally, I guess, so we have a very difficult situation, difficult game actually, and we are doing pretty well. So we are the world's largest diesel engine manufacturer, and the diesel is a dirty fuel. But if you look at our strategy, so we have now derived and concluded on a strategy, and that is just 2 words. It's called Destination Zero. So if you look at our portals, you will see that's the only strategy. So what our strategy is that by 2050, we will be carbon neutral globally. And that's a very humongous task for a company which is thriving on diesel fuel. So what are we doing? So that's exactly what we are going to speak. But just to give a glimpse of it, we are transitioning into a net neutral energy consumer, CO2 consumer out there. So we are into battery, we are into fuel cells, we are into hydrogen engines. The first high combustion rate H2 ICE engine, which is where we've produced in India, we were the first ones out of our joint venture with Tata Motors in 𝐿𝐵𝐺𝑒𝑚𝑠𝑒𝑑pur. We rolled out the first few engines and gave it to Tata Motors for that. Those are hydrogen engines with a performance similar to a diesel engine. Okay, so that's the future, what we are looking at. So globally, we are committed to the Destination Zero. So it's no more a buzzword for us. So every factory that we operate, every transportation mode that we operate, that is our focus. A green supply chain is also focus. So it's a very exciting journey ahead. It's a bit challenging, but I think it's doable. So with that, I guess let's see how interesting we can make this second session out to here after lunch. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is 𝐿𝐵𝐺𝐝𝐢𝐭. I'm the Senior Sustainability Consultant at Treni Sustainability Solutions. Treni Sustainability Solutions is a 10-year-old company here in India. We provide platform and consulting services to enable sustainability reporting, not just for organizations, but enabling this for your supply chains as well. The evolving needs, as all the panelists on the dais mentioned, how do we reduce carbon? We have a solution for you all. Across the globe, we work across all kinds of industries with no limitations, right from manufacturing to various products and other services. So with that, I also bring a lot of domain expertise, not just from the Indian subcontinent, but also from the European region, which has been the forefront runners in terms of sustainability. So yep, happy to share with you all a lot more as we enjoy this session. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Pavan Muralidhar. I'm the head of product and design at Freight Tiger. Freight Tiger is essentially, we have like 2 offerings. One is that of like a software platform where we allow procurement, planning all the way through e-pod and invoicing to be done on our platform, which a lot of like shipper customers use. In addition to that, we also provide like a marketplace where logistics service providers can come and look for trucks, which we end up sort of match them with like truck owners and manage the entire journey. The perspective I'd like to bring today in today's discussion is how we can help customers achieve sustainability goals with just doing some basic improvements in their operations, which will not only improve or reduce their carbon footprint, but also have meaningful cost reductions in terms of value creation. Yeah, so looking forward to the discussion.
Hello everyone, myself Prashant, I'm from TCI. Basically I look after western region of the business of TCI. TCI is a big player in terms of logistics, wherein we move with respect to the freight, whether it be the freight, whether it be the express service or the seaways or the train. So we have expertise in moving the goods with any mode that you think, even the AS. So that's it from my side. Let's initiate the discussions. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks everyone. I think we have a mix of flavor. Mr. Vijay is here with us, and I would request him to introduce himself.
Yeah, hi. I'm 𝐕𝐺𝐸. I head the global supply chain and distribution for 𝐈𝐧𝐝 Laboratories. At 𝐈𝐧𝐝 is a 50-plus-year-old organization, and in the domestic market, we are one of the leading pharma players with brands like Pan, 𝐂𝐝𝐢𝐴𝐚, Taximo. Top 300 brands, I would say at least 10% of, close to 10% of it belongs to 𝐈𝐧𝐝. And that's the reach that we have. Internationally also, we are exporting to almost like 60 plus countries, and we are hoping to increase our footprint. My key job at 𝐈𝐧𝐝 is to make sure, irrespective of whatever disruptions are happening across the globe or within India, how we can make sure our supply chain is resilient and able to respond with speed, and also to make sure the digital transformation agenda is taken up to make sure bringing speed and agility into the entire value chain. Thank you.
Thanks for your intro. And so we are all gathered here to understand how we can collaborate to have the best out of all the footprint geographically, not limited to Indian footprint only, and then how we can have a more collaborative manner with a different part of the world and to be a more sustainable tool. Let's start with the technology. I will first touch base with Mr. Pawan, and I would like to ask him that how he see the technology and the data help companies to reduce their carbon footprint in everyday logistics operations, because that's the we can all talk about the sustainable, but there are companies, that tech companies are available who develop the ecosystems by which we can get some sort of arrangement by which we could be a sustainable. So could you please explain us that how you see that a technology and data can collaborate and get us an ecosystem by which we could be sustainable?
Yeah, no, thanks for the question. So at Freight Tiger, we believe, or rather we are helping companies with a three-layered approach. First, we help them measure the carbon footprint, then we help them optimize the footprint, and then we help them digitize a lot of their operations, right? So in terms of like the measurement approach, our fundamental sort of belief is that something that you can't measure, you can't improve, right? So we help companies measure what matters. We've built sort of a proprietary carbon calculator which takes into account the truck type, the distance traveled, and various other parameters to come up with like the carbon emission for a specific trip. And a lot of our customers are sort of using this now. Our leading tire company has been sort of able to figure out the distribution of carbon emission of over about 10 million kilograms over the past 12 months. So that is one layer in terms of helping them just measuring it. In terms of optimizing, we help companies in terms of, with our marketplace, we help them reduce their empty miles by offering return loads. We've helped companies get 60 times more return load opportunities and reduce their empty miles. We help in terms of also reducing the number of trips by more like smart dispatch planning and just like route planning and optimization. So we've sort of helped a lot of our customers by reducing their trips by over 10%. So fewer kilometers they travel, the less the amount of emission there is. In addition to that, a lot of, in terms of digitizing, the electronic proof of delivery. So today a lot of the proof of deliveries happen, submissions happen manually, and a lot of kilometers are traveled just for submission. So our electronic proof of delivery sort of has helped us, a specific case where over 200,000 kilograms of CO2 emissions were reduced. So just by doing some basic operations across measuring the carbon footprint, optimizing the operations with the technologies available, and digitizing the operations, I think a huge impact can be made.
Thank you. I think when we have a data can be analyzed and we can at least come to some conclusion where we are heading towards, right? So I think tech is a part which has a major role in understanding how to achieve our target, what we are working for, and to be a sustainable. Now coming to on the same pretext on the digitalizations part, if I ask Mr. Akshay about this, how can we scale such digital ecosystem to accelerate this, which we talk about scope 3 decarbonization and support compliance with evolving global standards like CSRD and CBAM. So because these are the things which we have been hearing all around the world, but in India we have a limited information on this. So how do we see that this digitalization can work towards that?
Yeah, a very interesting question. And one of the things when we look at technology today, and everyone is well aware, is AI is becoming an important part in everything that we do. Apart from this, when we look at supply chain and specifically at logistics, blockchain technology also has been showcased, and results are there to show that it is a suitable option to track your scope emissions. However, when we look at blockchain technology, it requires a lot of transparency and trust building to provide this data into a system, because everything is going to be monitored right from the cradle to gate stage of the product. So this way, when you look at a compliance or regulatory requirement in terms of CSRD or CBAM, companies that transport goods or sell products and services to the European region need to be compliant on every single aspect and activity that has gone into the product. So using AI, using blockchain technologies, these would enable building that transparency layer and also take it down to the most important fact, which is traceability. And this is also what we do in our organization, where we enable supply chain sustainability, traceability, and transparency through the mode of data collection and valid data collected using AI and blockchain technology. So this is something very important in the process of decarbonization, and something very interesting to also keep in mind is in the European region, they've brought out something called as Digital Product Passport, DPP, right? So every product will have a complete certificate as to what has happened from its cradle stage till the time it has reached its consumer, right? And this is becoming a growing aspect, and all this has been enabled using blockchain and AI technologies to track this data and showcase this against every consumer.
I just wanted to add some perspective. I would say efficiency, decarbonization without technology also, I would say many of the supply chain gurus sitting here would have already done that, okay? So it's about, I would say, milk run, okay? It is about consolidating the load as well. I'm sure without technology we can do a lot of things as well, but technology helps in terms of looking at the end-to-end supply chain, okay? If your demand planner, supply planner is working in a different way and a logistics manager is working in a different way, you can't just work it out on the efficiency level. Technology helps in terms of bridging that gap, okay? Which means that if the demand planner or the supply planner talks about my customer output is X, basis which he can look at how can I optimize my truckload. That's where technology comes into place in terms of making sure if there are 10 trips which are happening, can I do 2 trips or 3 trips, basis which I can save cost. Because at the end of the day, supply chain managers, any new thing we have to get into implementation, it's also about what is the ROI, whatever you want to implement. Now with TMS, I would say TMS system, many of us have been married to SAP for a long time, but I would say because of the new age startups which have ventured into TMS systems supported with AI plus the EWMS and the good WMS system, is helping us to make sure identify wastages. So that data, once it is collected, you clearly know that today if the transporter is coming or not, or is somebody calling them on phone. So you really want your people to focus on better things in terms of having a control tower where they know that once the shipment is done, we have clearly assigned transporters who would go, he has a time limit where he has to accept it. If he doesn't accept it within that particular time limit, it goes to somebody else. I think that system can do that, rather than someone picking the call at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock and like doing that manually. So system enables that. Similarly, once he has placed, he has a target time to reach it at your plant or at your warehouse. Now in that warehouse, if he's actually taking more than 2 hours, and your data is saying that why is it taking 2 hours, and your data is saying 1 hour should be the target or 4 hours, that is where it is. Now when we looked at the data many times, I would say nobody talks on all that. Transporters were even waiting at the plant or at the warehouse for more than 12 hours also. Now when you actually tell them that, okay, I will make sure I will give you, your gate in is there and gate out is less than 2 hours, he will pass on 10% or 7% of the benefit because he is able to rotate his trucks much better. Similarly, wherever it is going to your distributor's end as well. And the other element is on the inventory level. So from a decarbonization level, I think when you actually pinpoint, when you look at silos, it is very difficult. But when you actually connect the dots from the time, from the manufacturing till it reaches your end customer, I think I would say that's a big ticket item which I think needs to be resolved. Thank you.
I totally agree. I mean, so technology can enhance and data can enhance to improve the process, but definitely the process systems is already in place. Coming to the manufacturing industry, especially in the engine manufacturer, what we talked about, just now we have got an introduction from Cummins side. There are a lot of commitment from the business sides from your, that you need to be operational, efficient, and customer delivery is always on the top priorities. That's the most important aspect for any of the business, rather, whether you talk about manufacturing, service. So operational excellence and the delivery of customer or customer commitment is paramount. So how can we achieve sustainable goal, keeping this in our mind that this need to be served first and to be a sustainable? Can I ask this question to Mr. Shubhankar Chatterjee that please, can you give some kind of, lights on this, that how we can be the sustainable, keeping the business aspects, the paramount aspects to be in excellence in our operations and efficient, and keeping our customers satisfied?
A very, very good question. And I guess the myth that there is a cost to sustainability, I guess that we need to break that myth. If you ask me, and I've been with Cummins for the last 34 years now, and I have the good fortune of setting up 4 greenfield factories out there, and very large factories, to the tune of with investment of $150 million each. And over extended period of life, when we look at what we envisage at the design of those factories, we wanted them to be at least LEED Gold, Platinum, or at least the green certified, either Platinum or a Gold certified entity. And upfront it looked like there is a cost, but when you look at the overall life cycle, it's way more economical to set it up that way. So I'll give you some examples today. All our factories are at least LEED Gold certified. The amount of energy which we consume, kilowatt hour per dollar we spend in our revenue, has gone down progressively in each of our factories. And that is because your envelope is efficient, the entire factory is efficient, you are consuming lesser energy, you are consuming lesser water, okay? And because it is designed that way. For example, if you have blowers, we use very efficient motors out there, okay? We use variable frequency drives out there, and you can monitor, and then there are building management systems which monitor at every machine level. These look like initial investment, but they are modular so that you can play with those over a period of time and make it efficient year on year. Otherwise, what happens is that if you're running a large factory, you may be running the HVAC in an open loop system, Rather than when you start operating in a closed loop system, it is way more efficient. You have a centralized coolant sump with lakhs of liters of coolant running, and if you run the entire system throughout, it is way inefficient. Whereas if you tie it up to the number of machines which is running, these are some examples. Let's say our test cells, we do engines and we do test engines. All our test cells today are regen dynos. So we feed back to the grid. So upfront investment looks a little higher, but if you look at the payback, it's not more than 6 to 7 years. And post 6 to 7 years, it actually adds to both your carbon neutrality and also profitability both. So if somebody says that sustainability has upfront cost, I'd say that's a very myopic view. In the long term, and you have to take a horizon of at least 10 years. It contributes to the ecosystem, it contributes to the environment, it also contributes to your bottom line. Let's take some other examples. For example, globally, when we float an RFQ for sea freight, so we do not play with multiple freight forwards. We typically choose maximum 1 or 2. Carbon neutrality is one of our key input to that RFQ. We ensure that whosoever bids, it's not just the lowest cost. You have to also ensure that your carbon footprint is the lowest. And does it make that we lose money? We don't lose money. It is still economical, and we still have the best rates, but at the same time, we are working with those freight forwarders and transport freight liners where the carbon footprint is less. We also operate a premium freight tool globally, which ensures that we convert air freights into sea freights. And that's a system-based tool which does it, because you know the carbon footprint of air freight, while you may use air freight for exigency, but that's the worst kind of transportation which consumes a maximum amount of, which has a maximum carbon footprint compared to a sea freight. Within the your logistics in the on-road logistics, which is the domestic logistics, we use, which I just said, we use a transport management system whereby we ensure that the trucks which leaves our premises or our warehouses, we operate multiple large warehouses, are at least 85% utilized. So that TMS system has helped us improve our efficiency, logistics efficiency by at least 8%. Okay? Not only that, it further helps us to reduce the carbon footprint by helping us optimize the routing. So these are very easily available apps today. They are very, I guess India homegrown apps are pretty efficient. It helps us track the vehicle. It optimizes the routing actually. So if there is a disruption, if there is a flooding, if there is a traffic snarl out there, it reroutes the vehicle, and thereby actually you're consuming less. Further, extending that, as one more example which Vijay said, is that we have an app for all the transport hubs that we have. We have at least 3 of them in India, wherever we have multiple vehicles come, we track the turnaround time. So earlier what used to happen, that a typical vehicle would come in the morning and till evening the truck would not be called by the factory, or they may not, the planning manager may not even know the vehicle has arrived. So we have changed that to a RFID enabled turnaround time app, which actually gives a trigger that the vehicle has arrived. And we are trying to ensure that at least we turn it around in less than 2 hours time. And it's beneficial for both, for us and the transporter also. Because why should the vehicle wait for more than a day out there? So that way what you can see is that everywhere there is a focused approach to be more sustainable. At the same time, it is not just sustainability from the CO2 perspective, it is also sustainability from your profitability perspective. Sustainability cannot survive of its own if it is not adding to your profitability. Nobody would like to do business where you are bleeding and your long-term cash flow is deteriorating. So it has to happen hand in hand. And it is possible. It is absolutely possible. If you plan well, sustainability is actually a supplementary your kind of practice which helps you to improve the profitability in the long term. If you look at a payback in less than 2 years, it's not going to happen. Okay? But I guess every business is looking at a long-term horizon if you're looking at sustainability. And in the long run, your investments towards sustainability really pays back. That's, I guess, my message would be. So it is something which is our responsibility towards making this. We have done enough damage in this world. Okay? 11% of global CO2 emission is because of logistics and transportation. 11%.
Yes.
And out of that part of the business is growing at 4.3%. Okay? Sea freight alone contributes to 920 million tons of CO2 globally. So we have got enough damage, but we need to look at the longer horizon, long-term horizon, and then make investments, which is a little longish payback, but it is okay. In the long run, that's actually helpful for you to make your improve your bottom line. That's my simple submission to all of you.
Thanks. I think if we plan well at the beginning itself, if we can emphasize the things at the beginning itself, we can be sustainable. That's what I could understand. And if we factor that at the beginning without keeping into mind that this is going to be not a cost-effective model, that will come out to be a sustainable, right? So coming to our another panelist from FM Logistics, being a French company, and how do you see the difference between the way they operate in Europe and India, and what we see or what we are doing to match there? Because they are, let's accept that the Western world are more concerned right now with respect to be in respect of reducing the carbon footprint or to be a more sustainable. We are following, definitely, but you being a French company having set up in India, how do you see the difference in the operation between French entity and your entity, and what you are doing to make yourself to be like them and closer to them? I can understand there is a pressure because we are working in India with a very cost-sensitive environment. End of the day, all what matters is numbers. But how do you see yourself to be closer to their arrangement, what they are making it, and where we are right now, what you see as an organization from your side?
So first of all, as Vijay Shetty from the 𝐂𝐚, then the 𝐶𝐢𝐭 from Cummins, and Sondhi from the 𝐶𝐞𝐢𝐴, correct? 𝐶𝐞𝐢𝐴. All these are the customers. And then as a service provider, we are providing them service, and our life is very simple because what we need to do, that we need to understand their system. Correct. And come up with the proposal with solution which can reduce the cost. Whenever you will take the cost out of system, you become efficient, and when you are becoming efficient, ultimately you are supporting the sustainability. So whatever the examples which you mentioned, 𝐶𝐢𝐭, is all about the optimization of your operations or logistics or maybe any external world. So whenever you work on optimization of any processes, the result will be sustainable. So point is that today we are talking about sustainability, but as Vijay mentioned and others mentioned, we are working on that unknowingly. So I think we just created the just big fuss out of it. So that is my first submission. Second submission is the sustainability is not related to any technology or something. It is about the mindset. If you have a right mindset towards the sustainability, first of all, sustainability we are doing because of we need to be a part of RFQ for somebody, or we need to possibly get our KPI right, or we need to just show maybe some trophies in our cupboard.
Or we really wanted to contribute.
So I think important is that whether we want to do it, and see, it is like a safety and sustainability. So for us, everything is as a gamut that we need to take care of our people, our company, our environment. So I think first is a cultural part, where I agree that the European world or the developed countries are more ahead culturally, because that becomes the norm there now. Now this norm also is supported or maybe pushed by the lot of norms, which is a government push. And you are mentioning about those government norms that every product has the almost like a data of from where exactly it's born and where is exactly is ended. So when you have such kind of mandatory applications or compulsions, then you don't have choice, but you need to do it. So they also may be having a challenges sometimes when the cost you have to spend more, but that is the cost of doing business. When it comes to the India, those norms are not there, but the good part is that we adopted a lot of good practices from there. The all optimization, when we acquired a company in 2016, which is an Indian company, and now after 9 years now, all our warehouses are now almost reaching to a carbon neutral. What we are doing is simple. What we are doing in other places also. Every warehouse have a solar panels. So whatever the electricity we required for that particular warehouse, we ourselves are generating it. So it is a very simple thing. So we started this as a sustainable product. Somebody will call it as a cost-effective or optimization project, but ultimately we are reducing the cost per unit transaction in the whole system. So he was mentioning about goods. So our new one, which is the largest 9 lakh square feet in the Farooq Nagar warehouse, is a gold LEED certified. Now, as he mentioned that we've given maybe few hundred extra per square feet to build that, but we take a horizon of 25 years. And when we do that, ultimately, our customers, we are going to save certain amount of money per square feet every day. If you accumulate that, our payback becomes 6 years. So point is that, but somebody needs to take that particular bet, and we've taken that bet that whatever we implement in, let's say tomorrow in Paris, same kind of a technology, same kind of infrastructure we are bringing here. Of course, we require the Indian mindset to get into it, which is the most difficult, because you can buy talent, but not the psyche. It requires, because we grew in that particular, so nobody can blame here itself. Yeah, but if we grew with that kind of a culture, it will take time. And that is the most trickier part, that we need to ask within this whole forum, that how many are really doing this because they want to do it, or is it a compulsion? Second thing is about technology. We have set up a large control tower. Although we are managing 1,000+ vehicles every day, we don't have a single vehicle. Because today in India, almost 25% of the vehicles are idle. So what we do is we partner with them, and then we manage our supply chains of our customers through the control tower. And as Vijay was mentioning, that if we do the optimization of that, I think we save a lot of carbon footprint. The beauty, what we are bringing to the Indian market is a technology-enabled supply chain. It means that although what we talk about data, and when we talk about data, normally we talk about the lagging indicators. What happened last month, what happened last week, what happened yesterday, what happened in the morning. I think what we need to talk about is the leading indicators now. That, okay, I got this data, this vehicle is now delayed, what I will do with that? I think that is more important question. So what we provide by using our control tower is exception management, because even let's say tomorrow if I feed maybe thousands of data to Vijay as a customer, I'm just taking you as a name as a customer, but he say, I don't want to get this data. Tell me only exceptions. And in the exception also, don't give me exception. What you are going to do with that exception? I think that is more important. So I think we are moving from the lagging indicator to leading indicator, and that itself will save a lot of carbon footprint. So every aspect of your activity, when you do as a logistics or the manufacturer or the customer, when we try to reduce the cost in the system, I think you are ultimately adding to the sustainability improvement. That is what we see basically.
Yeah. Thanks. I think you are quite clear with your thought process, and you are very clear with your message also, that the data mines which when you get, you are more concerned with not with the lagging, more with the exceptionals, and so that you can work on that. Now coming to the EV part, because we have a panelist from automotive industries, and most of the people are now moving towards the EV vehicle. We can see a lot of vehicles with green number plate nowadays on the road. So, but the challenge is that nobody has emphasized 10 years back that there will be a plan of EV vehicles in India, and the commercials or the domestic use will come with an EV vehicles. So the grid requirement is not emphasized or planned with respect to the load, what is demand right now. We all are right now staying in apartments, and we have a limited grid demands for that particular apartment. And when you buy a vehicle of EV, you go back to your apartment owner and ask for the EV charging points. So how this need to be balanced, because this is a big challenge which I could sense in the market. Even though if you have a EV vehicle, but your residence or your apartment do not have a facilities to charge it. Or if you go back and demand for that charging, they say that the load is not being emphasized 10 years back when this apartment was, or when we planned for this power demands from the grid. So there is this very big imbalance between the demand and the availability rather, I would say. So how do you see that this can be compensated so that people can use more and more EVs?
Yeah, thank you, Abhishek, for the question. I will start with first, like Vijay said, what are the else measures we can take to reduce CO2? One is technology, launching EV vehicles, hydrogen vehicles, all that. Also at Ashok Leyland, we are taking a measure how to, like Chatterjee also said, almost 10 to 12% emission is only because of transportation. At Leyland, what we ensure whatever material we are procuring for building the vehicles, it is coming within 50 kilometers. If we see around 10 years back, almost 70% of the vehicle material was coming more than 700, 800 kilometers distance. Today we are ensuring all the material is coming within 50 kilometers. And we have achieved the landmark of 80% in each of the units. We are having 5 units. In all the 5 units, we are having a co-located supplier plants. And almost 80% of the material we are receiving within 50 kilometers, which has reduced a lot in CO2 emission. So that is one of the things what at Ashok Leyland we are doing. Coming back to the question what you asked, if we see infra, that is very, very important for any program or any project to go successful. If we see CNG vehicles, for CO2 emission, that was one of the projects what has been taken by government around 25 years back. And a lot of push also was there during that time. Today also, if we see, we are not established, even after 25 years, that CNG product, that is not still established. As car, even though we can see many of the vehicles, we can see passenger cars are into CO2, in CNG, but commercial vehicles less than 5%. If we are making 12,000 vehicles, hardly 300, 400 vehicles we are making CNG. That is only because of 2 things. One is infra is not available. Second, government policy. So these are the 2 major things what government should push to ensure that whatever projects they have taken, that should be go ahead with the good implementation. Similarly, in electric vehicles, today also if we see EV, lot of infrastructure yet to be developed. Smart grids need to be ensured in the system. When I say smart grids means it should have a dynamic charging plan. We know that always there will be a different time, different consumption will happen for the electricity. We should have a grids which should have a dynamic load shedding. It should not happen that every time if we are not utilizing that electricity is getting waste. We should ensure a smart grids for that. Second, like in mobiles, if we see earlier, we were charging the mobiles only through the ports or through the plugs. Today, if one mobile is charged, we can charge second mobile with that. We should have a grids in which vehicle should transmit the power to the grids. We should have V2G, what we call it as, vehicle to grids. That type of system should also be there in the grids. Moreover, EV vehicles are successful only if we are having a renewable energy. Renewable energy, we don't have anything how to stock that renewable energy. Always consumption changes time to time. We should have a proper system to stock that power, whatever we are generating through solar or solar or hydro. In addition to that, we should have a proper system to transmit also. Maybe more power is getting generated in X region, but consumption is on the Y region. How to transmit that power from one area to another area, plays also important role into that. So if all that things can be implemented in place, so it is very helpful to implement EV in a better way. Thank you.
So I think hearing you, I can understand that a lot of work is required to be done to be a successful in EV. That's what I understand from your...
Just to add on the EV part,
on the EV part, well, you require the infrastructure. There is a lack of infrastructure to charge the EV vehicles. So for the charging ports, you require electricity. Now again, the question mark is if you consume the electricity to charge the EV vehicles. As of now, if we talk about the carbon neutrals, correct? Last figure was somewhere 2.7 billion tons of carbon that we are emitting. And out of those, power industries occupy somewhere approximately 47 to 50%.
So power industries is the one who generates the electricity. And the major electric generators are from the coal, wind, and solar. So coal is the main factor. So it is important, being us as a probably third-party logistics or the productions or the government, it is important to convert all those charging port reflecting from the probably the solars, the charging port consuming the power to charge from the renewable sources. How would I say?
Can I?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. As far as EV, we've done a few experiments, and what we found that from the distribution with the low capacity trucks, I think we able to get the cost effectivity. So what we started is that we have a hubs, and now our hubs are going near to the customers nowadays because of delivery pressure. So we started putting us very low, maybe capacity vehicles for the distribution, which we found per kilometer rate, it is coming in parallel with what we used to view earlier. So that is number one. Also what we have done, since I mentioned earlier that most of our hubs are having the solar panel, so we are generating our own electricity. So the distance which this distribution channel comes, which they leave maybe in the evening and then they come next day, so we can charge those vehicles at our hubs itself. So we are not dependent on the infrastructure part. So some of the areas which we've done, but then we talk about the long hauls, I think still we have a challenge. I'm very sure as customer demand, as the infrastructure improve, I think manufacturers also will put that available for us. But then today, unfortunately, per cost per kilometer, it is not making financial sense.
Right.
But then the short distances, which is about the 100 kilometers, which is important. On the contrary, some of the customers, because we are almost leaders in the retail logistics, where the delivery is very, very quick requirement, but then that time that there is an expectation from the customer that we need to have a EV trucks only. And then even they are ready to pay extra rupee per square, per kilometer to just ensure and motivate us to have more EVs in the small distances.
Just to answer him for EV vehicles, maybe long haul is one. If you see in last couple of years, demand for long haul has almost reduced. And more of tractors are taking the market of that. That is also almost equal, and even more than long haul, they take 55 ton. And most of the commercial vehicle manufacturers, they are working only on tractors for EV, for 55 ton. So I think that will help us, what you are asking, that will ensure that during long route also you will be having a EV, and for short distance already you are having a EVs in there.
Yeah, I guess there's a good traction on consolidation of the vehicles. So 30 years back, when I joined Tata Motors, the most popular model is to be something called 1210. Okay, 1210 as a model means 12 ton, 100 horsepower. Today, the vehicles which both Ashok Leyland and Tata Motors are rolling out, they are 55, 32 kind of thing. So that same vehicle which is to haul 12 ton is today hauling 55 ton, but the engine is the same. Maybe the engine is a little larger engine, but the efficiency, that's a consolidation of the vehicle, that has gone up. And I guess eventually if we can get more legislation on the highways with it to speed to weight ratio and all those things, I guess overall the carbon footprint per vehicle or per ton is significantly going down.
This is also a big change in terms of infrastructure from the European countries or US to the India. When we go for the larger trucks, the consumption or sustainability or carbon footprint you gain in that.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you carry with the similar kind of engine or the infrastructure, the maybe more CBMs or the more tonnage. And that gives a lot of difference in cost per logistics. So for example, of course, this 13%, I don't know is a real number or not, because for last 10 years, everybody talk about 13% logistic cost. But then, let's say China around maybe 6, 7, and then US is maybe about same. That difference is mainly because of the loadability. That today, we are still going with the 55, but then with the large loads, reduces the carbon footprint substantially.
Yeah. So I think we could be successful with this EV vehicle soon, the way we are moving, and the government is also pushing hard from all sides, from the policy side as well. And that we are quite optimistic that this will be successful. I also drive EV vehicle, but I have some challenges with respect to that I get anxiety when that vehicle is required to charge, because when you are stuck up in traffic, you never know how much kilometer it will run further, because you are standing in the traffic and you are looking here and there that where always how much kilometer is left over with the existing charging system. Anyway, we are expecting, we are quite optimistic, so hopeful we will have the better arrangement. Coming to the pharma industries, which is a very important industry, and it has certain commitment in terms of when we see the supply chain. Pharma has to be in closed environment also, sometimes has to have a very clear defined delivery time also. So when we talk about control environment, delivery time, what is the advantage of cross-border collaborations and technological innovation you see as in your supply chain with focusing on your business area, which is pharma industry?
Yeah. So it's more to do with the strategy, okay? One is the organization strategy and one is your supply chain strategy that you want to deploy. Today we are living in an, I would say, 𝐄𝐝 world, but like where the disruptions are something or the other will happen. You have the Ukraine war, which is still going on. You have the Red Sea issue, or you have some suppliers who are supposed to manufacture. He's not got his raw material, because of which you are not able to supply it to your customers and you're paying the penalties and fines. The best way to do is to de-risk. One of the strategies that we have looked at is that if we have a supplier, we should at least look at having an alternate vendor. Or if it is from one source, let's say both the vendors are from China, then I would really want to see that, okay, which part of the other world, whether it is India or others, can I have one more supplier who can qualify? Because pharma, it's in the international market, it's not that, okay, you just buy and you can sell. You have to actually qualify, you have to register, which takes quite a number of time. Depending on the market, the approvals takes 6 months to even 1.5 years as well. So it starts with that particular long-term vision, and then you look at different areas in terms of your capacity. What is your long-term goals in terms of what are you going to sell in the next 3 to 4, 5 years? What are the products that you're going to introduce? Do you have the capacities to do it? And then talk about a concept called cost to serve. That clearly gives you I would say, it makes things black and white for you in terms of whether you want to manufacture it or whether you can go for outsourcing. When I say outsourcing, it's more of a contract manufacturing rather than you putting your man, machine, everything to produce that particular product. Can you actually get it manufactured from him? And if you are actually getting manufactured from that particular contract manufacturer, who's the other one that you're looking at? Okay. Similar, if you have capacities where you know future you're not going to utilize that particular block or unit, how you are going to actually be a CMO for the other suppliers, or you could be a supplier for the other customers as well. So I think this is how one, I would say, has to strategize first. Then looking at, particularly if I talk about one use case, like I think Shubhankar mentioned about the logistics cost. So a typical use case, once our senior management colleague are saying that we are doing a lot of air shipments and it has to reduce. And my logistics manager was quite under pressure, and I said, hold on, this is not you. It is, let's ask who, because of whom we are doing this air shipment. And when you drill down, you look at your demand planning, your demand plan was X, but your sales oversold it, or it was not in the plan at well, and achanak, it has to be married. So you need to actually also be able to do a difficult conversation, open conversation with all. Ultimately, an organization is about functions, different functions, okay? Sales and marketing definitely hold a higher, I would say, edge because they bring revenues and all that, but I'm sure I can tell you supply chain is the next sales and marketing. In fact, if we know about a little bit of the business, we can actually play things very well. And that's where I tell all my team members that first understand the business. If you know the business, why that air shipment has happened, then actually you can go and maybe suggest a solution. We are actual solution providers. In fact, sales and marketing only meet the customer, but the rest of the operations, the back end, which is managed by supply chain managers, I would say hats off to all of them. I think all of you sitting here, I would say I would give a round of applause to each one of you. Yeah? So coming back to the air shipment thing, and when we looked at that particular activity, it was that the demand was not there. It was in rush. We manufactured the products, and then we had to push it out, because if we don't reach it, sea had a lead time of 45 days via sea, and air was next day. If you don't reach there, your fines and penalties are there. Your scoring with the customer goes low, and because of you lose a lot of chunk of the order. For the repeat orders would not come. And when you understand all this, then you sensitize it. And then talk to your sales and marketing saying that, like, why your customer has not, did you ask them this? When you're going for writing of quotation, did you do an ATP check with me? ATP is majorly available to promise, okay? So when you're promising to the customer, when you're giving a word to a customer, did you check with the supply chain? Okay? Or we are not gods here, ki aapne order liya aur tathastu, material ban gaya. It's not that way. So sometimes you have to do those kind of difficult conversation as well, saying that when you are going in the market, if there is a forecast, you are going to sell this, I wanted it this, because there is a lot of lead time of manufacturing getting, because many suppliers take 90 days to deliver raw materials. Then my plant guy will take another 30 days to actually manufacture the finished goods. Quality takes another 1 week to release it. Finally, it moves to the port and then we ship it. So I think understanding the value chain is more and more critical in this given environment, and that's where you actually add value. And we need to be prepared rather than saying that why are we doing these things. We need to even question saying that, okay, there is an issue, but where is the root cause? Finding the root cause is very critical, and that's what, when we look at it from a collaborative way, okay, you talked about sustainability, we collaborate with suppliers, pricing definitely, of course, that's the KRA, KPI as well, because we should, supply chain, I would say, has a huge role in impacting the bottom line as well as the top line. Okay? If products are not available, who's going to sell it? We make that possible. Okay? And we source it at a best possible price, where we talk to suppliers saying that, okay, you're investing in this, you get 5 points extra because of, okay, you're investing in a sustainable, because ultimately I will benefit. Like in case of, like, say, when you said solar panels are there, I get those brownie points to say that, okay, yeah, my supply chain is slightly green, okay, rather than investing it. But I will, if you are going solo, I will not invest with you. But if you have a multi-user facility, I know that the first day of the weeks, of first week, second week, third week, the sales are like this. Only the last day we hit 6 and 4s where the sales actually happen. I always ask my sales guys, what happens on the last 2-3 days, why the sales are 80% or 60% of it. So I think this is where we should ask the right question. I also have desire saying that 25% karo, I'll get you this cost. So you need to be open enough to also have that kind of a conversation with whoever, or your managers, or the seniors in the organization. And that's where I would say when you put down all those things together, you can form a better strategy in actually executing those in a right manner.
I guess very rightly, absolutely echo what Vijay says. So if, and it is a common practice that your deliveries are all skewed. The first 3 weeks you will do maybe maximum 30-40%, and in the 4th week you will do the balance 60%. And there are multiple reasons. I don't blame the sales guys, marketing guys, but there's the issue of credit lock, there's the issue of cash recovery. The cash is not coming back from your retailers, and end of the day you're not able to ship because there is a credit lock, and the finance guy will open it only on the 3 days before the end of the month. So this is a convoluted chain, and if this happens, you will actually jeopardize all your ecosystem out there. If you don't do level loading, then what happens? You do premium freight, you do air freight, and that is all because we are trying to save money somewhere else, but we don't know that what is the additional money you're paying. So you're not ensuring that the cash flow is right, you're not ensuring that your collections are right, and then you open up the credit lock on the 4th week and ensure that all the deliveries happen to meet the month's number, so you still do that. But you don't take that risk to do it throughout, or maybe you don't have a good understanding with your customers and your distributors that you need to do this throughout consistently across the month. You'll end up paying much more extra. You have premium freight, you're running additional shift, you're paying overtime, you're running on Sundays, you're not doing your maintenance, and this all adds to cost. So so I guess what Vijay rightly said, it is the entire value chain, okay? If you do not plan it well, if you do not make it consistent, you will add additional cost. And that, as Ajit also rightly said, more cost you add, more carbon you add. It is not just the cost. So you are actually running inefficient, means you are actually consuming more energy. Whatever you do is inefficiency is actually energy. So it's both. It erodes your bottom line, it adds to your carbon footprint, both.
So a lot of thing changes also, by the way, because we are managing 100 plus customers, and we given these proposals to our customers that you are almost 5%, 10%, 15%, and rest of the maybe 70%, maybe last 2 days are almost 30, 40%. If we do it, may not be 25, 25, I think it's very idealistic, but even you reduce this into the second half of the month, forget about the first half, because you are pushing. It's all is push sale. Everybody here knows that why this is happening, but it's all push sale. And if you just manage that push sale between these last 2 weeks itself, there was so much pressure you can release from the system. And that pressure is not about the work hours, but you are paying premium for the freight. Why? Because you have to push, and then that inventory will be lying somewhere without sell, because you are pushing to the distribution or the stockist or whatever without any sale. And since you are pushing more than required or without ask, is a compulsion to stockist, there is no sale in the first 2 weeks. So ultimately, nobody is gaining in this whole process. So I think what we need to do, and this is a good part, is that maybe I can, when I next time meet the CEOs of the customers, and then we say, you have a real commitment for the sustainability, then why you are not really thinking about not balancing, but at least trying to tone down the last 2 weeks, which have a tremendous effect on the whole supply chain, not in India, but internationally as well.
Yeah, as I said, there is a problem, okay, but we have to find a solution. Nobody else will find that solution. So at Alchem, what we are doing is, like, when we build a supply chain strategy, we are keeping the customer at the center. Now, who's the customer for a pharma company? Anyone? Who's the customer?
We consume. We people are the customer.
Patient is the customer. Exactly. But who actually, patient doesn't pay to Alchem, okay? Our distributor.
Stock it.
Our distributors are the one. From distributors, it goes to the retailers, and finally it goes to the patient. Patient buys it, but patient also buys it because Dr. Abhishek will say that, okay, have Pan-D and all that kind of a thing, and that's how it actually goes. So there is an influencer as well. So as a supply chain professional, if you understand this bit and look at what is the stock levels at the distributors end, what is the stock levels at the retailers end, and why they will ease out, like credit blocks are there, and everybody is today cash trapped, okay? Distributors, we give them, unlike FMCG, pharma has 10% distributor margin, but in that 5% distributor margin also they give 6 to 7% distributor margin to the retailer, because retailer says, tumse nahi lega, unse lega. It is more about WhatsApp e-commerce nowadays, which has happened, saying that within a particular region, today anybody can be appointed as a distributor. You want to do a business, you want to open a startup, you have money, you can become a distributor.
Correct.
You can talk to, you say that, okay, retailers earlier used to keep at least a week of stock. Today they said, morning stock is there, I have distributors who would keep me stock. So working capital definitely becomes a critical essence. Now, why the sales in the last week it jumps in? Because field definitely has incentives, okay? If field is incentivized, I'm sure distributors are also incentivized to buy extra, because of which they buy that. And actually, how do you bring this change, okay? So what we are now doing is to say that, okay, how can a supply chain professional take a daring step of saying that sales and marketing guys, you don't have to visit the distributors at all. You only go to the doctors and generate prescriptions. Can we do that?
So
can we do that? Then whose responsibility is to get business? We are a pharma company, we're a listed company, investors see sales kya aaya hai, because more you sales, your margins will come because of that sales. So actually you need to understand that the other side of it, okay? So I also have to wear a marketing hat and say that, okay, how I will solve the problem. So what we are doing is now is to connect with the distributors and then tell them saying that, okay, over the value chain, I'm paying so much of incentives, how we can also incentivize them. This is slightly new in the pharma. We have already, this is already happening in FMCG. FMCG for a company like 𝐿𝐴𝐚, we have 5,000 plus distributors. The first question is, do you need 5,000 distributors? Because supply chain was not in control of appointing distributor. It was like sales. इसने बोला अच्छा ये distributor को बनाना है, he buys good. After 1 year, there is a new sales manager. नहीं, ये distributor, because his engagement, his, I would say, dosti, yari is there so that he knows that that can happen. So I think we need to get into the crux of the business and then find a solution and say that, can I look at auto replenishment? The guys who actually follow the company's process and does auto replenishment on a weekly basis, then I will give that particular. Now, what is that benefit to us? Today, in the entire value chain, any pharma company will keep almost 60 days of stocks, 15 days at the warehouse and 30 to 40 days at the CFAs or the depots. Can I bring down that to drastically? I fund this thing with their own initiative, saying that bringing down the inventory days to 60 days, if I have visibility of what stockist is selling and to which retailer. So it's more about getting into it and trying to say that, okay, how you can actually make things happen. So problem is there, but we can talk about the problem. I think we are senior guys, we also have to find solutions to the problems. Yeah?
Yeah.
That's
I think we talked about the targets and about how the sales guys push for the targets. Now coming to the 3PL issues, one of the panelists, Mr. Prashant Naik, is sitting here from TCI. Can I ask you the challenges what you faces in integrating global supply chain, because you have been now spreading your footprint to the global, and what sort of tools you use it in order to mitigate that risk or the challenges which you anticipate for the global supply chain, because you are moving now, spreading from the Indian footprint to the global.
Thank you. The major challenges that we are facing is the accessibility to the data probably, and the flexibility part, flexibility with respect to the movement. So all these problems that I am speaking out can be easily sorted out with the IT. IT plays a very pivotal role in supply chain or logistics part. Our company, we as in TCI, concentrate more onto the IT part with respect to connecting the stock from point A to point B, or within the warehouse, movement of the goods from probably the dock during the inward till the storage. Then again, when the order comes in, that has to be picked. Everything has to be automated or the IT supported. I will just put an example. When a material comes into the warehouse, what happens? The system guides where it has to be kept over the inventory, and which part of the inventory depending on the zoning or rest of the aspects. So when the material comes in, the system guides where it has to be put, and when the order comes in, the system guides from where it has to be picked. So the efficiency level is to the peak. Even if I speak out the storage, the consolidation part, because if the system does not speak, what happens? The person goes manually to the locations and keeps to any place where he finds the space. Correct? If the system speaks out, system checks at the AI part, it checks at the back of the mind of the system that previously where that stock was kept. So the system guides where it has to be kept, the stock has to be kept, stored. So this helps in the consolidation part as well. So this boosts the efficiency during the operations inside the warehouse. Similarly, if I speak about the transportation part, probably towards the secondary distribution, from warehouse to the distributor, dealers, again the AI plays a very important role by optimizing the route. Because there are part loads. If a secondary distribution happens, it's in part load. So the clubbing plays a very important factor. If the clubbing is not properly done, the cube utilization of the containers is not maintained, then there will be a losses. And losses to the carbon emissions as well, because the number of trips has to be increased. So the system speaks out. We have an in-house ERP wherein the system speaks out what kind of consignment has to be loaded in what kind of vehicle and to what extent. So my point is the IT is the major concern. If we don't keep pace with the IT, we are not going to achieve a humble goal in a probably logistic industries. So that is my take.
Yeah. I think we have been talking about this digitalization and tools, keeping time, respecting the time on what is being allotted to us. A very quick question and it's open to everyone, about the digital tools, what we are using. Let's start with a tech company, which is a company with a digital background only. So what sort of tools which you will suggest? A very quick one, 10, 15 seconds each one if they can talk, and what you have been using in this, your system or with your customer in your case, so that we all can have that awareness, and then we'll open for the Q&A round. A quick one.
The panel actually touched upon it.
Most of the guys have touched, but
the
if some...
The TMS part is a significant sort of value creator, helps drive sustainability goals, helps measure, helps optimize, reduce the trips, reduce the carbon footprint. I think strongly recommend the TMS offering in general for all companies. Yeah.
And for large fleet of like your ocean liners and all, even for wind turbines and all, I guess CBAM is a very important tool. Okay. It predicts your health of the equipment way ahead of time. It helps, and today we are using CBAM, so we have a homegrown app where we are connecting all the critical machines. We can predict, and we have attached to an AI Palantir tool, which predicts that when should we take it for maintenance rather than take it every Sunday. So we don't need to spend those consumables, those again add to carbon footprint by taking a maintenance, because if you do a maintenance, you change the oil, you do a lot of things which is not required. So it predicts the health of the equipment and tells you, you don't need to touch it now. You can prolong your scheduled maintenance by another 2 weeks. So that gives the health. So we get a real-time feed of those equipments. So we're connecting most of the critical equipments across globally. That's part of my job. And we can see real-time how is the spindle temperature, how much current it is drawing, and then predict when should I take that machine down for maintenance. Eventually improving the uptime, but also reducing the consumables that we spend.
This must be done with past precedent data that
no, it's
comparing
it's
it, right?
real-time data.
But
so,
you are getting a real-time data, but you are comparing it with some sort of
the
database.
model itself teaches itself.
The model reflects
that,
you.
Okay, these are the limits.
Yeah.
So we know this motor has the capability to draw 3 kilowatt.
Now it's drawing
it is
more.
tending towards the limit. So I set up a limit and say, no, it is now tending towards, I need to take it downtime now, or it is doing good, so it is operating less than 75% of the band. Perfect. It can continue. I don't need to do the maintenance now.
Perfect.
Yeah. So for us, of course, we have a very top 3 world-class WMS and TMS. But when we talk about, these are the basic system. Without that, we cannot function, or any logistics cannot function. Important is about how we can do the optimization of that. Because optimization is a value to the customer. Otherwise, the normal WMS or the TMS is a transaction system, it's all like operating system. So I think we spend a lot of time in the route optimization for the transportation, as well as the storage optimization and distribution for the WMS. So the layer which is important, and that's the reason there are 3 layers of WMS and TMS. So we are operating in the top because our whole strategy is not about just providing the warehousing and transportation, but the technology-based value proposition, and value proposition will come from the optimization part of it, which requires the technological support. Otherwise, only with the human brain it is impossible.
Yeah, and that's a very good point actually. So if you have a WMS, it actually helps you introduce a carbon footprint. With dynamic location, let's say it's a 3 lakh, 4 lakh square feet warehouse, the number of trips a fork truck will make. And if you put a static locator and it is at the fag end of the warehouse, you are unnecessarily traveling. Rather, if you put it into a WMS, it goes to a dynamic locator, it optimizes the location. It also optimizes your travel time, the route, the number of trips with the forklift is making. So actually, it also helps you improve your sustainability.
Akshay, what would be your say on this? Because you are the one who is referring to the customer about the uses of these tools.
Yes. So without any biasness, it is our tool, Resustain Supply Chain Sustainability Management. The reason being, we take supply chain today only on optimization efficiency. But are you really tracking your sustainability parameters, your KPIs, right? Be it energy, be it waste, be it water, be it even the impact on biodiversity, right? That is all tracked in our platform, which converts to your efficiency and optimization of your solution that you provide to your customers. Another important thing is we always talk about decarbonization, but one of the major problems in logistics is an ecological impact. Every shipment, either maritime, aviation, road, rail, has an ecological impact by moving freight or goods from one region to another. And this has caused a lot of invasive species being transported by various modes, which is also indirectly affecting various aspects in trade, which is increasing the carbon emissions, right? So there is a lot behind this, and that's what our system takes into consideration to deliver high efficiency and optimization.
Thanks.
Just to add from my side, with respect to the warehousing, to give, the carbon emission control, each and every warehouses of TCI is probably solar equipped. Apart from that, we have rainwater harvesting as well. And in addition to it, each and every warehouse that is having the DG generators, that is fitted with RECDs. So RECDs are the equipment that helps the DG to control the emission part. And almost all the DGs, we are converting it into the gas as well, the connection of the gas. So 70% of the DG will function over the gas, and probably the 30% over the diesels. And those 30%, whatever the DG function with respect to the carbon emissions, will be controlled by RECDs, retrofitted carbon control device. So it controls the carbon emission to the extent of probably 70%. So if 100 unit is thrown on a normal DG, if it is fitted with RECDs, it will land to somewhere approximately 20 to 30%. So these are the steps that we take, and I would rather say every OEMs or the third-party logistics who provide the warehousing or logistics services can adapt for. That's it from my side.
Thanks.
One small point.
Quickly, because
yeah, one small tool and very impactful one that one could consider is the electronic proof of delivery. So today, actually, the big problem in the industry is that the payment cycle is 60 to 90 days, and electronic proof, or rather manual proof of deliveries actually add to the carbon footprint by around 15 to 25 kilograms of CO2 per trip. So just by implementing the POD, you can bring that down significantly and bring down the strain on the system with payments releases within like 10 days. So I think it's a great tool to sort of consider.
We use 100% electronic invoicing.
That's great.
Yeah, all POD is all electronic. Yeah.
Now, I would like to open the Q&A round. So, just quick one.
Hello everyone, this side Puneet from 𝐕𝐵. So my question is to Sandeep sir. So like we are hearing so many issues with respect to EVs. My question is, where do we see the future of EV once the hydrogen engine becomes successful and comes into the picture?
Yeah, that is a good question. But hydrogen, still it is long way to come. It is, still vehicles are under trial. It may take more than 5 years it will take to establish not establish, just to roll out the vehicles in sequence. As of now, hardly 10-12 vehicles are there on the trials. EV are far ahead than that. Now it depends how infra for EV is getting established. If another 3-4 years, 5 years, we are able to establish the infra for EV and good government push is there on EVs, definitely EV will take a lead as against hydrogen vehicles. Hydrogen will come, but maybe it will take another 10 to 15 years to, where EV is today at this stage, it will take hydrogen vehicles next 10 to 15 years to come at EV stage, what is as of today.
And to add to that, hydrogen, I guess the cost of hydrogen today is around $10 per kg. Okay, that's one. And the cost of the vehicle plus the engine plus the hydrogen storage, because you have to store at a high pressure. If you want to be economic, that has to be 750 plus bar. And the cost of the vehicle is minimum 3 times. So it will take at least 7-8 years, maybe a decade for hydrogen to become economical to apply in a commercial vehicle industry.
Yeah, there's a question behind.
So good afternoon, everyone. 𝐿𝐺𝐻, you were saying about that the supply chain should work upon bringing down the skewed of dispatches in the last week. In fact, some companies have already done in cement industry. I'm from the cement background, so I could say, this is a company now, I will not share the name, but they have worked out that the sales team is not to sell the material, go and take the orders from the regular customers. They have to go and take the orders where they are going into the sites where there is actual sale is happening now. So that there is a streamline, and honestly speaking, we are working upon having now bucket systems. Every week there's a bucket, and on that basis we have to dispatch the material. And that has really helped us to reduce the cost as well.
I'm sure that will definitely help bring your working capital, bring your overall cost, your inventory levels, everything.
Definitely. And there are companies now working on direct dispatches in cement, which is reducing the carbon emissions drastically.
Cement has a big challenge, my friend, logistics
Yes,
cost.
we are around
I would
28
love to work
30%
on
of
such
total
use
cost.
cases one day to bring down to 50%.
We are-
Will make, I would say, EBITDA positive to many of these cement companies.
Sir, let me be very honest. Hats off to logisticians in
Yeah.
cement. They can make or break the company.
Absolutely. I understand.
And I have a question to Sandeep, sir. Sir, since EV is one of the area where definitely cement is working upon, but only challenge is the fixed cost of the vehicle. So can you make a request to the government to have one tractor and two trolley concept that can really help us to do the turnaround faster of the vehicles and bring down our fixed cost marginally down?
No, rather than one tractor and two trolleys, almost if you see nowadays we are going for a heavy vehicles as well. 55 ton already is there. We are working how to increase the tonnage of the vehicles. So that will help you again reduce the cost as well as turnaround time for that.
Sir, I was coming on that only, sir. 55 tons only, we want two trolleys to be implemented.
That is okay.
Because landing gear can really help us to park that vehicle.
You're right. We'll work on that as well along with the government. But at least one thing what government has done, at least you can have a registration of trolleys as well. And you can park the trolley and take the tractor and take another
But
trolley.
sir, RTO doesn't allow us to get the two trolleys registered. That is a problem.
That is not there as of today.
Yes, sir.
That we have to work with government and we will see how to implement
How
that
our
as well.
trolley can be registered, that is important, sir.
Yeah.
So there's another one question, sir. When you are bringing the 13 empty vehicles, because that is a ours need in cement industry.
Pardon, 30?
13 empty vehicles.
13 empty.
Yes, that can really help the secondary logistics a long way in our industry.
We'll work on that 13 metric ton.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for your answer. I think now we need to respect the time because we have another session. And with this, we will come conclusion of this particular session. Thanks all panelists for this wonderful session. And I believe and trust that everybody has enjoyed this conversations and must have gain or take away from this particular discussions what we are doing in the industry with all eminent panelists over here. Thank you very much, everyone, for sparing your time and spending a good afternoon over here and give the valuable inputs from your side. Thanks.